This week in comic books, we get Gotham Sirens, and I'm going to tell you right now, it is probably the most topical, relevant comic book to date. Oh, it's kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. Also, in the lands of Marvel, we get Venom War, and I don't know why, but we got it. And in Independence, Cowl. I'm going to tell you right now, this is the perfect mix of House of Cards and comic book modern tropes brought to you in a way that is just delicious. Speaking of delicious, let me show you a coffee promo real quick and we'll jump into these comic books and more. Here we go. Hey, what's going on, folks? This is your boy Pocan Joe to talk to you about Coffee Brand Coffee. We serve people that are tired of gimmicky advertising and branded companies that want to lecture you. At Coffee Brand Coffee, all we want to do is serve you freshly roasted coffee wherever you're at, whenever you want it. Consider Coffee Brand Coffee. Check us out, check our reviews out, and use promo code POCANJOE or the link down in the description to save yourself some money. Give me the opportunity to get you a delicious cup of coffee. Hey, what's going on, you wonderful weirdos, and thanks for coming by. Let's go ahead and break down this week's comic book haul and review. What did we get and what was it about? Let's talk about it, and let's kick it off with Gotham City Sirens. So if you don't know, this isn't the first team up of Gotham City Sirens. In this, you got your typical ones from before, where you have Catwoman, Harley Quinn, and Poison Ivy kind of pretending that they're the Scooby-Doo mystery gang there. This one is very topical, though, than what it was before. So just a quick synopsis. There's an energy drink that people are literally having riots over to get. Sound familiar? And Punchline, you may remember her, the sidekick to Joker from I haven't really done much with her, which is kind of weird, but it was a while ago. And we knew that she was kind of tech savvy, and this one, she's an e-girl, an evil e-girl. Well, actually, they're all probably evil, but she's a hot tub streamer. Like this one is kind of promoting the energy drinks, and the concept here is her live chat is more of like what you would see in a Snuff Live type thing, where people get to download themselves into a host body and play cowboy and chase bisons and things like that, ultimately taking the person over. Some human trafficking in here, and of course it's going to be up to the Gotham City Sirens to Scooby-Doo this shit out. That's the best I got for you. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I actually enjoyed reading it. I love seeing the topical stuff today that people consistently talk about. And there's an underlining message in there of something, I'm sure. But for the most part, I just found it for its pure enjoyment and nothing else. Moving on, still into DC, we get Absolute Power number 2. So we finally don't have all these kind of runaway stories or side stories. We're actually dealing with the main story here now. So Amanda Waller has been putting it to the superhero teams, and there's only about 20% of them left. Whatever number that equates to, I don't know. That's just what they said in the book. And they're all hanging out at the at Superman's house and the Fortress of Solitude over there. And they're trying to devise a plan. And this is the first time I've seen something like this in a DC comic book, where there was actually a little bit of an argument about who should be in charge, right? Usually it's just given, right? The trifecta. And this one, not so much. And while everybody was bickering about who should be in charge to lead this strike back, Nightwing just kind of steps up, gives a motivational speech, and starts delegating orders. And I like that, because I'm one of those guys that always says, in the absence of leadership, that means that you were supposed to be the leadership. So I thought that was really good, and the way he inserted himself in there, into that role, was very smart. But it was very short-lived, as Queen Brainiac, that's right, the female version of Brainiac, decided to strike before they could do anything, making them escape into another dimensional woo-woo mess of multiple worlds. Who knows where they're at now, honestly. I hate it when they do that. But there's someplace else to be able to come back and fight. Some other dramatic things that kind of happened in here that had a little bit more heart to the story was Superboy, Superman's son. Apparently, the the Queen Brainiac there got a hold of him, basically just uses him as a puppet now. Women. So with that said and done, this feels like it has consequence to it, and I want to say that's a solid read. The problem is that between issue 1 and issue 2, so much time has passed, and if you're reading the other Task Force stuff, it doesn't really deal with this main story. You can tend to kind of get lost and may have to go back and check it. Unfortunately, I'm going to chase this down, but I feel like this would read better as a graphic novel, trade, or whatever the case may be. It's just not really set up for this format. Moving on. All right, so we got, this is interesting, Batman, Gargoyles of Gotham. So this is weird, right? This is the, and I want to be sure I say this right, the Ashcan San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that came out for it. First off, it's a normal-sized comic book. I don't know, look, I'll give you an example of an Ashcan. This is what I've always known an Ashcan to be. I don't know why we're calling these Ashcans. I don't know. I don't make the verbiage. I just live in their environment. I have not read this. Again, for the exact same reason why Absolute Power is being kind of a struggle. These books come out in such a long time frame from each other, you kind of tend to forget it. And if you read other things, right? So what I'm doing is I'm collecting all these together, and I hope to be able to do a full review for all of them. But because I was able to get this, I figured I'd share it with you. My comic book store owner had that, and he didn't go to San Diego Comic-Con. And I got it for a good deal, so why not? All right, let's jump into Marvel. We only got 2 Marvels for this week, mostly because there was an error in shipping. But luckily they were Scotty Young's, so at least my wife's happy. First, we get Spider-Man, Black Suit and Blood. Of course, this is a spin-off of all the other black-red issues that have come out. And here you end up with a couple of interesting stories. One of them, it kind of deals with a character. It's very obscure. He was kind of a snitch for Spider-Man, and his name was Joe Face. He passes away in this one, and what we get is his kind of monologue of his life and how he got that one opportunity. Even though he was a 2-bit loser, he had this one opportunity that he took to do something great. Right, and that one great moment got passed on to his son through Spider-Man, where he explained the one time his dad was a hero. Oh man, that just hit you right in the heart right there. Guy, self-realization, found out he's only good for one thing in his entire life, and then eventually when he passed, that one moment got passed on. That was kind of a cool story. Another one is Mary Jane reciting, and this one's smart. She's reciting some lines from a Midsummer's Dream, right? Shakespearean play. And it's the particular part that she's practicing in this is when the King Fairy and the Queen Fairy were kind of arguing. And because of their arguing, right, it was disrupting the natural environment. That's going to be key in a second, I promise you. Now, the story, when you're visually reading this and the dialogue goes through, is Mary Jane happened to deal with the fact that her sense of security has been changed now that she knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and of course is the Black Suit era. So it's kind of creepy, kind of weird. So there's this conflict, right, that's kind of messing with her natural environment. I thought that was smart. Kudos, writer. That's how you do it right there, folks. Because even if you didn't know about Midnight Summer's Dream or Midsummer's Dream or catch that piece of it, it was still interesting enough to read. And if you did know that stuff, it gave you a deeper dive into it about how that can kind of, that function can kind of get brought into a different format. And I thought, oh man, that's smart. The other stories in there were fun, comical, had their own thing, but those are the 2 that really stuck out to me. I definitely recommend reading if you haven't. Plus, I mean, come on, that's kind of a cute little cover, I guess. I like that. All right, moving on. Again, Scotty Young. Sorry. We get Venom War, number 1. So what's going on? All right, so the King in Black, right, is Eddie Brock now, and he has his like little friends with him, other symbiotes. this is going to be a mess to review because it's hard to review because if you don't know about the King in Black and all the symbiote stuff that's happened all the way up to God and the dysfunction between Eddie Brock and his son and what's happened there, it's going to be kind of hard to review this. And then you add this kind of multiple world thing where the Venoms and symbiotes are traveling through various worlds looking for Eddie Brock, who himself is a symbiote. My only recommendation for this is if you're a heavy Venom fan, if you've been reading it up to this point, stay on board. This is right up your alley. If you're like, I could care less about Venom, probably just wait a while. It wasn't a bad read, but if you don't know what's going on, because it relies very heavily on its past lore. So that's where you could get lost. All right, moving on. Cruel Universe. That's right. I love this stuff. Oh my goodness. This came out. This is from EC, modern EC, not Golden Age. In here, you get exactly that. It's an anthology of stories in here where you're kind of dealing with the watch what you ask for, right, scenario, or a deal with the devil type of thing. Or subvert expectations. They did a great one with a Tyrannosaurus Rex being made to fight in a gladiator ring. They did a great job in that story. And it kind of deals with those, you know, the I don't know, the fault of man, right, when left to his own devices. Right? It was great. And I love it. And I love this kind of old school look to it. Look, got a little bubblehead astronaut there. It was good stuff. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely on the more, I want to say horror side, but it didn't really tell any real horror stories in it. It was just kind of creepy and weird. So yeah, I like that. All right, next. Let's just go ahead and break out the guns, baby. That's right, pick of the week. Boom. Boom. Yeah, I really liked this. This is Cal, 1964. So this is interesting. So as I said in the beginning, this is kind of like a House of Cards meets modern comic day trope in the setting of Mad Men in 1962. Yeah. So what they did here is the superheroes, right? And this takes place in Chicago too. I feel like that should be a point to be noted, but I don't know if it does. Let me know down below. And the reason why I say that is because our unions like a really big deal in Chicago. I don't know. Here they're kind of, some places need them, some places don't. It's kind of, and it's about a 50-50 split if it's even necessary. But I would imagine in other places they would be very important. In here, what they're doing is that they're unionizing the superheroes, right? And not only are they unionizing them in Chicago, but they're looking to take that next step to make it a nationwide thing. Where they utilize it, where if you have superpowers, you will have to get a license and join the union. I don't like that aspect of that for any trade, especially superheroes. Right? And of course, if you don't, you're breaking the law now. So what this does is it takes the political, I don't know how to backdoor talking to get this kind of thing done in a very Teamster way. I'll put it that way. And they also not only address the fact that superheroes are going to have to do this, but they kind of address like newer technology as well, and how it was kind of a holdover from World War II that they got from the Razzies and recreated it. Like they had a whole little spoof on that real quick, and they don't want you to like just blow over that. That's going to be a part of this, right? The technology they use in 19. It's so smartly written, and it leaves just enough little egg drops through it that you know that they're just going to build this out, and I hope they do, because this is interesting. This is what the comic book is being evolved into, right? Like comic books always evolved with time, right? And we're in this era now where we already know that a lot of backdoor shady stuff happens in both political companies, whatever the case may be, and this just kind of shines a light on it. Comic books have always done that, shine a light on modern society, and I think it's very ingenious that they decided to pick it in 1962 because of particular events that happened then, that almost happened now. So Definitely, if you're a fan of Mad Men, House of Cards, but you like your comic book tropes and the people coming together and how that kind of function moves into each other, and the political aspects of it. And I know a lot of you commentators out there, you love your politics. This is the book for you. Definitely give it a shout out. Give it a check. If you've read it yourself, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments down below. I really want people to go out and get this, and it's from Image Comics. I think it's smart and it's good. All right, enough of that. We deep dove on that enough. Let's dive into Scarlet issue number 3. Unfortunately, it didn't make the pick of the week, but that's not to say that that is bad. Yes, it is a G.I. Joe one. I know, I'm a horrible person, horrible fan, but that doesn't make this any less interesting as we see Scarlet in action. And I thought this was interesting because usually when we have characters like Scarlet or Lady J or something like that in the G.I., we see them, we get a little backstory to them, but you see them function like every other person out there just with their particular special weapon. Well, Scarlet is really good at espionage, spy stuff, wet work, spycraft, things along those lines. And we get to see her actually in action, just shining is the only way I can put it. As she breaks into a facility by the request so she can join the little ninja clan thing. She breaks into it, and of course she does it successfully. But to watch her go through it and to read her thoughts as she's going through it, sleek, sophisticated, and fun. And that's important in a comic book like this. And I thought they did a really great job in delivering that. So that's my comic book haul and review. What did you pick up? What am I missing? I know I missed a bunch of Marvels. I'm sure you read some out there. Let me know what I missed. We'll see if we can't find them online or someplace else. And I'll see you around in the chat, folks. Bye.